It's time for round number 2. We've got new faces in the booth. We have Cedric and Corey here to take it away. Welcome to the Pro Tour, gentlemen. Take it away for round number 2.
Thank you so much, Maria and everybody else at the news desk. How we doing, everybody? Cedric Phillips, Corey Baumeister. Corey, I'm going to throw this one at you right now.
Yeah.
I've been hearing on Twitter that we need a nickname.
Oh, we do? Okay.
We need a nickname for this dynamic duo. Hashtag Frobros.
Fro Bros, I'm in.
Bang.
Absolutely.
Let's get
Iconic.
it started. Let's get it started. We are going to watch a little Modern Horizons 3 Limited here in round number 2 of this wonderful Pro Tour. Defending champion in the house, of course, that is Yoshihiko Ikawa. We do remember that dominant display in Seattle just a couple months ago.
Yeah, that was incredible to watch. Just losing one match throughout the entire Pro Tour. Yep. You don't see that very often. Nice to see him with a good start here in round number 1.
8-0 after day number 1 was Ikawa in Seattle. Only lost once in Limited and once in the event, and was also the first player to, of course, lock up the top 8 in Seattle. Will that happen again here this weekend in Amsterdam? We will see. Pretty good deck here for Ikawa, too. This kind of Jeskai strategy. Blue-white base, little small splash of red. If the lands come together, Corey, it's a pretty good deck.
Yeah, really strong deck, and nice of him to pivot after starting off basically mono red in his first 5 or 6 picks, and really had nothing else go in that color, and decided to pivot and ends up with one of the stronger decks at the table.
On the other side of things, there's Tom White, who is a very skilled Magic Online player. Oh, yeah. Now, you might know Corey's alias on Magic Online, Bonk101.
Oh, yeah.
I can be found under the moniker Cell Dweller, but Mick Winsauce, now that's somebody you don't want to get paired against.
Yeah, that's someone you see in the top 8 a lot. You might see us in the top 16 or
that's
something.
That's
right.
But So a Royal Cartographer is going to start things off here for Ikawa. This is one of the better cards in the format, especially for the energy decks. I know 6 might seem like a lot to draw 3 cards, but it actually turns out it's not really that much at all.
Not much at all. I have played that card plenty of times without having other energy enablers, but when you can get a just constant string of energy, you know, being able to activate that once or twice is not that really unheard of in a match of limited Magic here.
So we're going to head back over Tom's way. As we did take a look at Tom's deck list, one thing to note about it as Frank was going over it from the news desk was it does have a lot of 5-drops in it, which means it doesn't really get to the battlefield all that quickly.
Yeah, no sneaky snackers, the card that you kind of get for free most of the time, as you usually don't have a ton of Dimir drafters at the table. That might not be the case at this table, as, yeah, Tom has 5 5-drops, which is just a little bit too high from your traditional Dimir list.
We're going to head back over Ikawa's right now. You do see a Johnny Fells, the Godsire, Conduit Goblin, Emissary Soulfire, Solstice Zealot, and now a Riddlegate Gargoyle. Those are the options in hand, but I think more important than anything, all 3 colors of mana.
Yes, all 3 colors to start. Yoshihiko did keep a 2-land hand, so being able to get that 3rd one was the most important. Has the powerful 5-drop, kind of the Elspeth Conquered's Death look-alike, to be able to get out here for other big drops here for Tom White. But yeah, just a solid hand.
Will be an attack here with both creatures.
Take 1.
And Tom is just going to take 1 and fall down to 18. So second main phase is where we're going to go here for Ikawa. And which of these creatures is it going to be? Because again, there are plenty of options at this stage.
Yeah, plenty of stuff to do. And wow, goes with nothing for now.
Fair
That's
enough.
Interesting.
Okay.
Wow, just doesn't want to get blown out by a counterspell. Tried to sniff out Aether Spike. This is open deck list as well, so you know that is known that it's in the deck, and correctly plays around it. But you know, at what point do you just have to jam anyways?
Yeah, the question now is, you know, do you want to continue to play a game that looks like this?
Yeah.
Where you know it's just I'm not really going to play into an Aether Spike. Don't really want to get anything countered. We'll see, because at some point Tom is actually going to do something, and then you're going to want to, in kind, do something as well if you're Ikawa.
Yeah, I think Ikawa really wanted to draw a land here to be able to maybe double spell with these 2-drops, and for sure get to the battlefield with one of them. Not picking up a land here will be interesting, as now you're kind of just in, like I would say, in for just playing a spell here. Decides not to do it. Going to be pretty interesting now to see if Ikawa goes for something next turn on Tom White's turn of having a 5th land when you can have that truce available. You would think that he's going to play something into that.
Yeah, and Fathomable Truth does kind of change the equation a little bit, because that is an instant speed spell. Speaking of which, Tune the Narrative is also an instant speed spell. Card coming energy, that'll be 2 here for Tom. And Ikawa is going to continue to remain patient. So Tom will draw a card for the turn. We'll potentially see land number 5 here in just a moment. And there that is. So swamps and islands aplenty here.
Jump.
Yeah, that's what Ikawa really didn't want to see, was just an instant speed spell from Tom White. Wanted to really kind of choke the mana from Tom White by not playing into an Aether Spike, which is there. So Ikawa, you know, kind of nailed it there.
Ikawa has missed a land drop again. It's a copy of Emrakul's Messenger as the draw. So the plan of maybe playing around the spike, you know, being able to actually pay or anything like that has kind of gone up in smoke here. And now the ultimate kind of punishment is if Ikawa continues to play down this path, which he's not going to, it's going to be a static prison. So we'll see if there's a response here from Tom. But if Ikawa elected to continue to kind of go down that road, gets punished really badly because Tom White can, of course, draw those 3 cards and then make a Scion and kind of mosey along.
Yep, absolutely. So I think this is going to be the turn where Ikawa's going to double spell, go for the prison, deal with the Nethergoyf, which, you know, 2-3 right now, not as impressive as we're going to see in the modern rounds. You know, that card's going to be gigantic when we see that, but still a perfectly fine card, and goes for the spike here to not even counter it. You know, you could pay the energy here, but decides to let it go anyways.
16.
And now here comes the flyer, and now Emrakul's Messenger. So Aether Spike will take care of the static prison, and now, most importantly here for Ikawa, Tom White was not able to just resolve an Unfathomable Truths and keep moving along. So we're going to have maybe an Amphibian Downpour here. We will. This is a very high upside card in this set. It can really wreck you in combat depending on how the main phase before combat does go. It can be kind of generic and not be that great and just make something into a base power 1/1. This is kind of in the middle.
Yeah. I mean, this card can absolutely be incredible. Even if your opponent just plays one spell at end step, you get to turn their 2 biggest creatures into 1/1 frogs. Ends up being really good. Here, I believe there's 4 activations.
Yeah, this one does have Flash, it does have Storm, it does have a lot of different text. Remember, this is Modern Horizons 3, and especially Modern Horizons 3 Limited, the land of mechanics. We have them all.
All of them, yeah. I think, missing horsemanship, banding, probably that's about it.
That may be. You may have picked the only 2 that aren't in here.
There you go.
Makes for a very cultivating and very fun limited format of trying to think of everything that everyone can do. So now we're going to see the Unfathomable Truths. So 3 cards coming and a Scion as well.
Yeah, and this is kind of exactly the game that Tom is hoping that would happen up against Ikawa here. Making it to turn 6, turn 7, where you're able to start casting your gigantic spells and you're not focusing on dealing with a lot of pressure already. So kind of everything going the way of Tom White so far.
And so now the Eldrazi spawn will help to cast. And Emrakul's Messenger, and we're going to head back Ikawa's way, who is falling behind in this game very quickly.
Yeah, we really need to draw a land here from Ikawa. Started with the 2 lands, you know, was only able to pick up 1, but being able to just start getting these energy creatures deployed, be able to play the Goblin, be able to play the Riddlegate Gargoyle in the same turn would be ideal. But no, once again, just another creature off the top, no land.
And this time it's going to be Emissary of Soulfire.
Yep.
So that'll enter the battlefield. Little energy on the way. Ikawa's going to move up to 5 energy now. There will be a trigger.
Really powerful card. Being able to put some exalted counters on things can really get out of hand, especially when you have the ability to put your creatures in the air with this Mandible Kite.
Many contests.
Yeah, Mandible Kite might actually be the card that matters the most here in this particular game, as it looks like these 2 players are going to make sure that the battlefield is correct, because remember, there we go. So the Amphibian Drown Yard, you kind of, you know, we've got a lot of counters down there in the future match area, Corey.
Yeah.
We've got a lot of dice and everything, but we don't have a ton of copies of exactly Amphibian Drown Yard.
We're going to work on it, though.
But we're going to get there.
Yeah.
We're going to get there, because it is a weird card insofar as it is a storm card that's also enchant creature.
Yes.
So it's doing some copying of itself.
Yeah, that cartographer is a double frog here. Not going to be drawing any cards anytime soon.
Yes.
Combat.
And so here is the combat in the air, maybe.
Yep, and those dice are definitely just representing exalted triggers here. We see going down to 1 energy, and yeah, now it's time to just start attacking for 3+ each creature and only have to get 1 of them in the red zone, be able to push through this Nethergoyf.
So Emissary Soulfire is doing some nice work into actually making these frogs better than they are supposed to be, I suppose is what I'll say. And now there's a passing of the turn, so we're going to head back Tom White's way. Now, one of the problems with Tom's deck is it is 5-drop flooded, but we're at the stage of the game where playing 5-mana spells not that hard to do.
No, not that bad at all. And here is 5-drop number 2, one of the better 5-drops in the format, too. Petrifying Meddler is extremely good. Not as good when your opponent's going wide with frogs here and you're trying to Exalted your way through, but still just the 4/5 body, being able to have that sneaky reach at the bottom to be able to block anything that the kite equips is going to be very big here.
Now back to Ikawa, who, given the shrug, we don't have a look at the hand yet, but I've got a feeling somebody didn't draw a land.
You know, I think you might be right, Cedric. I think you might be right.
That wasn't the happy play my land off the top of the deck right away, so gonna have to find some unique ways to navigate through this game.
Yeah, and just a handful of gas for Tom White as well. That might be the second Meddler, or just not updated from casting the first one, but 2 pieces of removal spell to be able, the ability to turn something else into a frog with another utter insignificance. Things are looking great for Tom White.
So now the question is, how does Ikawa navigate through this? Picked up a copy of Metastic Evangel, which is a pretty good card. Not a great card in this particular situation. This could be a game that is really based around energy and around the Emissary of Soulfire, making more and more exalted counters to be able to push through damage that way. That's what this game might revolve around in the short term.
Yeah, absolutely. But still the biggest problem here, only being able to single spell when Ikawa's deck is, you know, topped off at 3 mana. We do have the 1 5-drop here with the Ajani. But otherwise, yeah, this is a very low-cost deck. And maybe a little bit backfiring from Ikawa's really slow approach to this game. You know, taking turns 2, 3, and 4 off, and a counterspell still got a card into your graveyard. So maybe a slight misstep there for Ikawa.
Well, it is Riddlegate Gargoyle now that's going to enter the battlefield. And, of course, we'll add a little bit of energy. That'll bring 3 along with it.
And you see Ikawa counting the swamps there. He just feels like he has face-up information here. Just has the soul read that Tom White has the removal spell, which he does.
Yeah, you can see Tom does have a copy of Consuming Corruption right now, which deals damage equal to the number of swamps that the player casting it does control.
Just a great removal spell in general in the black color pair, but also just really, really strong with Sorin. If you can ever have Sorin on the battlefield, kill a creature, gain some life, and flip it immediately, ends up being really, really good. Kind of Tom's best card.
Yeah. So some exalted counters are being dished out once again. And now Ikawa would like to move to combat. There is going to be a Consuming Corruption before combat does take place here from Tom White. The target, well, we'll await that. So the Riddlegate Gargoyle is going to bite the dust. And Tom's going to gain 4 life. So up to 17, he's going to go.
Heads up play, it does shut down an attack this turn, as the creature would only be a 4/4 attacker. Yep. And Ikawa would have been plenty fine trading any one of these frogs for a Meddler being double blocked by Netherglyph and Meddler.
Absolutely. Tom's draw for the turn is a copy of Warren's Soul Trader to go along with a lethal throwdown and an utter insignificance. So the only real difficult thing here for Tom at this stage of things, because he does kind of have the creatures on lockdown with removal spells, it's just when is it going to be time to start attacking?
Yeah, that's the thing, and he has to attack because these exalted creatures are going to just eventually get Tom dead here. So I like Tom being aggressive here. Otherwise, every single turn you get kind of put in the abyss, you know, with all these exalted triggers. You're going to have to start blocking at some point.
A Warren Soul Trader post-combat. That's a Zombie Goblin Wizard 3 creature type. So that's plenty of fun. That 3/3 will be it for Tom right now as we head back Ikawa's way. A Galvanic Discharge is the draw. It is not a land, but it is a spell that alongside the Evangel, this could be another double spell turn here.
Yep. Yeah, and this really signifies to me, from Tom White's perspective, that, well, this isn't going to be a turn that he's going to block. This is probably going to be where he uses his life as a resource a little bit, maybe takes 1 hit for 5, something like that, and tries to just push through damage. So that Galvanic Discharge is going to be huge for Ikawa at being able to neutralize the attack coming back a little bit. But the one thing with Ikawa is Ikawa's able to just throw chump blocker after chump blocker in front of the Meddler if he does get a little low on life.
So here is the Evangel.
And it's a frog.
And it is textless now, given the utter insignificance that has resolved. Tom with a fun comment there. Plenty of 1/1s over there, and that is definitely true. As a corrupted shapeshifter is the draw here.
Not bad at all. The flyer's looking pretty good for that mode. Doesn't really need to be defensive with the shapeshifter, so being able to get in some damage, put a 3/3 flyer to the skies, which could easily be met by that lightning bolt at home, galvanic discharge.
Yes, indeed. Petrifying Meddler does come across there for more damage, so Ikawa's falling down to 8. The corrupted shapeshifter is in, not for long, as the discharge will handle that. No energy left over, it appears, as these players confirm everything. The other Goith gets a little bit larger, and we're going to head back Ikawa's way.
Just like, can I get a land?
No,
please?
the answer is absolutely not. Absolutely not. Unstable Amulet to draw.
Great card, one of the best cards in Ikawa's deck, but do you really want to spend your turn just playing Amulet, activating immediately, hoping there's a land? I mean, the one thing that you can do if you're Ikawa is tap that island and the mountain to be able to try to hit another mountain off the top so you can double spell and play Conduit Goblin.
Sure.
Or you just play safer, play the Zealot, and be on your way.
Yeah, and I think I like the safe play here,
Yeah.
just playing Solstice Zealot. It'll enter the battlefield, a little bit of energy here, of course. And it's just going to be a passing of the turn. Because Solstice Zealot is the kind of card that can buy a little bit of time, assuming an untap.
Yep.
With it is an island is the draw there for Tom White.
And now we're getting close to the spot where Yoshihiko Ikawa has to start thinking about blocking.
Yep.
And, Ikawa's deck doesn't really block very well, especially when all your creatures are frogs.
Yeah, I think we might be working ourselves into chump block territory.
Yep.
But if you're looking for an upside here for Ikawa, Ikawa's the one that actually has spells in hand, right? Because we're working ourselves into a game that we oftentimes see at this level, Corey, which is, okay, one player is flooding out-ish in Tom White, while Ikawa has spells in hand and is waiting to draw lands. And if Ikawa is able to draw maybe back-to-back lands, resolve a Johnny Fells the Godsire, stuff like that, the game can swing in a very big way. So it's actually on Tom White to try to get this game over with as quickly as possible, which isn't that easy in the face of all of these, as you've mentioned, frogs that are just kind of hanging out.
Yep, exactly. And the only piece of interaction that Tom White has is the lethal throwdown, which, you do have to get rid of one of your creatures. You can, of course, use a little bit of tricks here with Nethergoyf to be able to get rid of that and exile if you do have 4 types in your graveyard, but not necessarily what Tom wants to be doing. So Tom has, 2 more Petrified Meddlers would be the ideal draw for him. Well, maybe except the old 6/6 flyer.
Yeah, well, if that does show up, we'll certainly talk about it. For now, it's going to be an Unstable Amulet that'll enter the battlefield. A little bit of energy, reveal the top card. There's a Plains. Okay, so Plains off the top is going to enter the battlefield. There was a land that was drawn for the turn, so this shortage of mana is starting to solve itself. And that Saga that we mentioned, a Johnny Fells the Godsire, might be working itself into the equation. And there is the card that you mentioned, another copy of Petrifying Meddler. So this game is getting interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. Huge draw for Tom. I think Ikawa was going to start to pull away here, especially with a tapper for the Meddler right now, and then being able to just deal with one of these Meddlers straight away. But being able to pick up a second one here puts him right back in it. Putting a stun counter on the Zealot would be excellent as well.
Yeah, there's going to be a trigger here from when you cast the Petrifying Meddler to tap something and put a stun counter on it. So that's going to shut down the little Germo, and now the Solstice is going to tap the active Meddler that could be attacking. And now Emrakul's Messenger is going to come in. Get 2 damage in the air.
Tap down the flyer here to make sure you can get in some damage. Just Tom White saying, you know what, if you want to put one of your creatures to the sky, you're going to have to waste your entire turn by re-equipping, and that's something Tom is just completely fine with.
An island in the draw, alongside a Plains, a Conduit Goblin, that a Johnny Fells the Godsire, and another copy of Conduit Goblin. So Ikawa is breaking out of the land stall a little bit, but is it too little too late?
Yeah, Conduit Goblin being deployed on turn 9 and turn 10 here. Not really ideal for the powerful common 2-drop.
Yeah, I'm not surprised that we're going to see this one instead. It is a Johnny Fells the Godsire, ETB, exile target creature and opponent controls with power 3 or greater. That's chapter 1 of that saga. Chapter 2, you get to do a little something with a 2/1 white cat warrior creature token. In Chapter 3, something gets double strike, but it's Chapter 1 that matters the most right now.
Chapter 3, though, I will say, when you have a bunch of exalted triggers, can get really out of hand real quick, especially with the kite being moved around to creatures, where if Tom doesn't leave a flyer up for that Chapter 3 turn, you know, we could really see one of those game-breaking attacks straight away, especially with Conduit Goblins, to be able to boost your attacker a little bit.
Well, Tom is reaching for mana right away after the draw step, so let's see what the card is. It is going to be a deep analysis. 2 cards coming here for McWin Sauce.
And being able to get a Scion for your troubles that you can then sacrifice to the lethal throwdown, great draw.
Very, very true. The Zella is going to tap the 4/5. Emrakul's Messenger is going to join the other 4/5, and there is some very quick chump blocking.
Yep, and it looks like this one's starting to slip away here from Ikawa, especially with that powerful draw to be able to drain every single turn. I don't think there's really a draw that gets Ikawa out of this. We're probably heading to game number 2.
Yep, I think I am with you on that one. We'll see Ikawa take another draw step here. Maybe this changes something as Chapter 2 here from the Saga is going to yield a 2/1. I'll tell you what, as we watch this limited game unfold here, or at least what's left of it, we got exalted counters, we got a Saga with dice, we are making a 2/1 cat, we got stun counters on the other side of the battlefield, everybody's got energy. You know, back in my day, you just brought a deck box and cards.
Don't forget a card with flashback in the graveyard.
That's
deep
also
analysis.
true.
That was back in our day.
That is true. You know, you didn't need all this other stuff to be able to play a game, but for this particular limited format, you need all the things to play a game.
Hey, like Maria was saying at the booth, this is not your grandma's format anymore.
That is true. That is true. Conduit Goblin, it's a little late to this party. It's going to enter the battlefield, a little bit of energy, use that energy there on the Unstable Amulet top card. Not good enough. Tom White is going to win game number 1 here over Yoshihiko Ikawa. It is a unorthodox Dimir deck that will take the lead here in round number 2, Corey.
Yeah, not your classic draw 3 card strategy like we see, discard a bunch of sneaky snackers, but, you know, powerful 5 drops and a bunch of removal is still a good plan for limited Magic. Now we just really want to see if Yoshihiko Ikawa is able to have one of these fast starts, maybe doesn't have to play around a turn 2 counterspell like he did the last game.
Ikawa, of course, our reigning Pro Tour champion, winning at Pro Tour Outlaws of Thunder Junction. 8-0 after day number 1 was Ikawa in that tournament. 5-1 in limited, only lost 1 match in the tournament. Dominant from start to finish, looking to replicate that success here this weekend. Tom White, the lesser known of the 2 players, but no slouch himself. As we've mentioned earlier in this match, McWin Sauce on Magic Online, if you do play on that platform, has a couple of finalist finishes and is really looking to finally have his breakout finish in Paper Magic.
Yep, absolutely. A player that gets here from the Magic Online Championship Series plenty of times. It would be nice to see him truly convert that into a great paper finish, as I've lost him so many times online.
That
so
makes
many times.
2 of us.
Woo.
Well, both players have a 2-drop. One of them might be better than the other, but they both are great. Metastic Evangel is a very, very good card, especially in Ikawa's deck. Whenever another non-token creature enters the battlefield under your control, Proliferate is very powerful in energy strategy. But I think it is trumped a little bit here by Sorin, Corey.
Just because of the toughness, right? The 1/4, you know, blocking a 1/3, that's just, or blocking a 3/1, that's perfect.
How'd you know? How did you know? Well, if we're going to go over the top of Sorin, it can be with a whale, if you don't mind. A big 7/5 whale, in fact.
Yep. And being able to proliferate immediately with that really powerful combo of Evangel into the whale here is a great start. Now we'll see if Tom is just able to, you know, be able to do the thing, gain some life, flip Sorin, and really kind of get carried away with this game.
Well, the whale's going to try to put on a little bit of pressure here.
A little?
Okay, maybe a lot of bit of pressure, as it's going to tick down to 2. Vanishing, of course. Let's see if it's a multi-spell turn. It's just going to be a single spell turn, but it's not a bad one here at all. So
2, also 3.
the Zealot is going to enter the battlefield. You'll see a Proliferate, put another Vanishing counter on the whale, put another energy on, given the Solstice. Zealot, it's going to ETB and give you 2. 2 + 1 will make it 3, and we're going to head back Tom White's way.
Yeah, a great play there for Tom White. Looks like one Death Toucher in the entire limited deck list here. Being able to play that in the face of the whale here, even if for just one turn, being able to soak up that damage is huge. Now this Tapper comes down for Ikawa, and that is probably just going to be aimed at the Death Toucher every single turn to try to push through a ton of damage.
Yeah, the Kami of Jealous Thirst has done a nice job of holding off the whale thus far, but we'll see if that continues to happen over the course of the game. Kami of Jealous Thirst, actually a pretty nice card in this format, too.
Yeah.
We've talked about a little bit so far in this event that the team Sanctum of All, which Tom is a part of, big fan of black in this format, and they all seem to like that card in their decks if they can get it in there.
Yeah, it's amazing to think of that, you know, because going into testing, you know, it was pretty looked at as one of the weakest colors, if not the weakest color. So it's really impressive to see these testing teams just come to a completely different, you know, conclusion and say, you know what, I actually like drafting this really underloved color pair. And, you know, it gets me to think, like, is it that good in their eyes because it's so underdrafted? Or, you know, if it's actually just that good and people haven't figured out how to draft it yet online?
Do they know something that other players do not? That's going to be a fun question to answer over the course of these opening rounds of this tournament. In the meantime, a Tempest Harvester was countered. The Zealot allows the whale to wail away on Tom White as we are going to head back McWinsauce's way.
Ikawa's just like, can I ever draw a fourth land? Ever. Just stuck on 3 once again. Has some red cards in hand too, which is extra tilting.
Take a look at Tom's hand a little bit here. 5 mana is kind of the flashpoint with Tom's deck. Remember, there are a bevy of 5 drops in there. For now, it's going to be a Corrupted Shapeshifter. And it looks like it's going to be in 012 perhaps. We'll get confirmation on that, but in the meantime, don't forget that Soren does have a little extra fun line of text because we are in the land of all the keywords. It's been a minute since we've seen extort, but it's here.
Yeah, no kidding. I do not envy the players that have only been playing, you know, Magic for like 4 years or something. And they're like, okay, what does this ability do? What does this ability do? Players that have been playing for 20 plus years, you know, like you and myself, are used to these. But this is a tough one. This is a tough one to prepare for these players. That is for sure.
Yeah, this is one of those formats because of all the keywords and all the different things that are going on. A lot of players like to say that this format actually has 6 colors, not just 5, because of the Eldrazi and the colorless lands and enabling those colorless cards. Of course, so we're looking at a format that effectively has 6 colors and a whole slew of keywords and really weird interactions that you just may not be used to, but you will learn very quickly how they all do work.
Yep, absolutely. And this is just such a roadblock here. Ikawa's whole plan was tap down creatures, attack with the whale. Now there's 2 creatures you have to tap down, and Ikawa just played his only play that he can actually play from his hand right now. Just looking really, really unfortunate here for our reigning PT champ.
Yeah, the Royal Cartographer is the play, which does allow a little bit of proliferating, of course, because of the Evangel. Now, the Cartographer is a separate mini-game that we're going to get to here in just a moment. For now, we focus on the attacks. The whale does come in. Going to do a little bit of trading with the Death Touch creature because it's time to get away from the whale stuff. That thing's just not going to be able to last much longer.
Yep, when you're tapping down something with the Tapper here, losing an energy there, yeah, the whale is just not really going to be that exciting. And the Cartographer, it's going to be a little tricky to actually draw 3 cards if that was your plan anyways. So I think Ikawa is plenty fine just putting that one in the yard.
Time to pivot to something else, and it could be that Cartographer, which of course you pay 6 energy to draw 3 cards, or you can pay a single blue to draw 1 card and get a little energy as well there with Tune the Narrative. So that's a card that unexpectedly, Corey, we're going to see later on, it looks like, in this tournament in the modern portion.
Yeah, exciting stuff to come in that for sure. But we're about to have an exciting turn here as I think it's time to flip that Soren. That was 1 extort off Tune the Narrative here. We have another 2-drop, which we can extort again, attack for the 3rd life gain. And I don't know how Ikawa is going to deal with the flip side here of Soren.
Well, the trick with Soren is it easy to transform, and we are seeing an attack here. And remember, with the text of Soren, everything happens pre the 2nd main phase, and now it's going to transform into Soren Ravenous Neonites, which has 3 loyalty. It still has extort as a static. You can pay 2, you can get 2 loyalty to create a food token. -1, Soren will deal damage equal to the amount of life you've gained this turn to any target, which would be 3. So that's what we see there. And there's an ultimate. You know how Planeswalkers and ultimates work. We're not really going to waste a lot of time with that.
Yeah,
at least not yet.
It's pretty much Oko, you know? +2, make a food, -2, deal with the creature, and then the ultimate.
Actually, what happens is when Soren transforms, his ultimate is when Soren transforms, the opponent extends the hand.
Yes,
that's what
just like Oko.
That's
Yeah,
right. That's
very,
right.
very similar.
That is right. Tom White is going to win this game and match over our reigning, defending Pro Tour champion, Yoshihiko Ikawa. A very, very impressive win there for Mick Winsauce, who does it very well online, and this time doing it well in paper.
Yeah, doing it well in paper, so congrats to Tom. And just a little unfortunate draw there for Ikawa. Never really drew the 4th land to like pressure. You know, his deck was very aggressive, and if you can't get going that fast, you know, 5 drops galore are kind of gonna run you over.
Yeah, and those 5 drops did do effectively that. We're gonna take a break here from Pro Tour Modern Horizons 3. Got a banger for you right after the break. Jake Beardsley, the Pro Tour, the Lord of the Rings champion, against teammate Nicole Tipple right after this. It is beautiful here in Amsterdam, Netherlands for Pro Tour Modern Horizons number 3. I played in that first Modern Pro Tour, did you?
Did you? No, I was just cheering on my brother who took 2nd. I was on the sidelines. I wasn't quite qualified.
Well, imagine that. Cedric Phillips, Corey Baumeister, we are here in the booth getting ready to bring you our next match here from Amsterdam in the 2nd round of this Pro Tour. Teammates about to do battle with some pretty interesting decks, different pods. So we're going to highlight their decks and what they are up to. Jake Beardsley against Nicole Tipple is where we are headed. Jake Beardsley, top finish, and I'll tell you what, one heck of one. A Pro Tour debut last year at Pro Tour Lord of the Rings and won with Rakdos Evoke. But speaking of debuts, Nicole Tipple in her first Pro Tour, which was at Pro Tour Outlaws of Thunder Junction, lost playing for top 8. So these two, apparently they don't get nervous, Corey, on the Pro Tour stage.
I guess not. Just being able to do that on your first time at the Pro Tour is really impressive.
I remember my first Pro Tour.
Oh, yeah.
I did not win a match.
You were nervous, right?
Yeah. I was a lot of things. Nervous is one of them. Bad may have been another.
Okay. May.
Yeah, May. Beardsley, of course, as I mentioned, the Pro Tour Lord of the Rings champion from Roanoke, Virginia, an area that you know very, very well.
Absolutely, my hometown.
Other side of things for Tipple. A fun story, I learned this is a New Jersey thing here. So I was at an event earlier this year, and I was curious of where the person was from, and they said they were from New Jersey, and I said, where in New Jersey? And they just said, bro, New Jersey.
X-Gold Slick.
As if New Jersey doesn't have cities like everyone else does.
Duh.
So I'm going to have a little chat with Nicole about New Jersey, this lawless land of no cities, perhaps. One thing these two players do have in common besides doing very well in their Pro Tour debuts, is they're on the same team, Team Sanctum Ball.
Yep, absolutely. And friends, you can kind of hear from the banter already. Got to be happy to be running into each other when they're undefeated. Sure, it's only
Yes.
round 2, but always nice to play against a teammate when you're both doing well.
I'll put this one on bottom. 18.
18 it is. Some friendly banter indeed. I love some good friendly banter. I'm sure we will dial into that a little bit more as this game does unfold, assuming it does take at least a little while. You'll find that Jake is up a game here against Nicole. Both players keeping 7 cards. Nicole off to a very nice start, though.
Yep, being able to get on the battlefield right away, deal with one of the creatures. Jake's deck is really, really aggressive. You know, it is a Naya deck, but it is very much focused Boros. Just 4 green cards here, one of them being the Mythic Common, of course, Withering Chrysalis. But not a lot of sources, though. So, you know, we are going to see a lot of Boros lands, and, you know, Jake's going to hope for that splash here a little bit later.
Akami of
Gatekeeper,
Jealous
trigger, Gatekeeper.
Thirst is going to join the fray, and Jake actually can commentate the match for us at times, which I don't mind. Jake is going to be playing another copy of the Gatekeeper and simply passing the turn back. So a decent enough start here for both players. But as you mentioned with Jake's deck, there is that green mana that we haven't seen just yet.
Yep, not yet. So could see a couple of green cards being held back in hand. But yeah, Jake is awesome. Always very clear with his triggers, very clear about how he plays Magic. And, you know, it's just a very good habit to get into. You know, when you always say everything, you never really make any of those loose mistakes where you forget something. Kind of allows you to be a Pro Tour champion, I think.
Something like that. Amongst the cards in Nicole's hand is a copy of Brain Surge. Looks like it's just going to be attacked with a Death Toucher for right now. We'll see what comes in the second main phase, if anything at all.
Yeah, it looks like I saw Consuming Corruption as well, so able to play both of those spells here at instant speed, be able to kind of Lightning Helix down a creature with Consuming Corruption, as well as draw 4 cards, put a couple of them back, and you have the landscapes available to shuffle away at least one of the cards. You know, you could put a really bad one at the very bottom, a card you want to draw on top, and then get rid of one to do your best brainstorm impression here. I love the flavor in all the cards. There's always kind of a little joke in a lot of these cards. Colossal Dreadmass being a Colossal Dreadmaw type thing, you know?
To say the absolute least, Consuming Corruption is going to take care of one of those Gatekeepers.
A bad decision.
Hey, you're Pro Tour Lord of the Rings winner, Jake Beardsley.
He is doing your job,
He
Xander.
is, he is. They're actually both doing my job. I'm going to take the headset off and just let them take care of it. I mean, I'm getting paid either way.
There you go.
So what are we talking about here?
And
Too funny.
seems correct.
And Jake's going to play a mountain. What does seem correct, Jake?
Jolted Awake.
Jolted Awake.
Pretty cool.
Huh?
It's fun.
Go up to 4 energy, then down to 1.
Yep.
A nice little
Reanimate this
card
trigger
here.
Gatekeeper.
Anytime you're able to, you know, kind of trade up with that,
Conduit
be able to
Goblin.
pay 1 mana for a 3-drop,
Gotta go.
you feel pretty good. And wow,
Three
here
triggers,
is a
I guess you'll take
gigantic
2.
attack, being
I'll
able
go
to
up to
give
3
haste
energy.
to that Gatekeeper.
Combat Goblin trigger, I'll go down to 2 to haste the new Gatekeeper.
Sounds good.
5.
And here they come.
He stole my line.
He sure did.
Good.
He sure did. And we are going to head back over to Nicole in just a moment. But first, 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4. 2 going back, as Corey did mention, off of the Brain Surge.
Definitely picked up a Horrid Shadow Spinner. A really, really powerful creature if you can get that one turned sideways to get into combat, as well as a
15,
Hope
16.
Ender Quaddle. Whenever you get someone with that card, Cedric, it just feels hopeless. You know, I think it's pretty aptly named there.
I can only imagine. Now, one thing I do want to note here is the life total should shift a little bit there. The Kami of Jealous Thirst, don't forget that it does have that second ability where each opponent loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. That ability can actually become free if you have drawn 3 or more cards this turn. And it's sometimes an ability like this you would expect maybe it says only activate on your turn, something like that, but that is not the case with the Kami of Jealous Thirst. So if a game does kind of bog itself down, it's a nice thing to have around, or of course if you're able to draw 3 cards, it's a freebie.
Yeah, whenever you think a card is supposed to have a certain kind of text here for MH3 Limited, maybe just give it another read. You know, there's always a lot going on here.
We're going to head back Beardsley's way now as he's going to begin his turn.
Kite.
Yeah.
A kite
You'll go to 14. We'll then move the kite to Conduit Goblin.
You have a conduit goblin with a kite.
Combat.
Okay.
Yep.
3 in the air.
It'll be 3 in the air here from the Conduit Goblin,
Go.
as Jake so
I will
pristinely
flash
communicated.
Yep.
under Kowaddle.
I was going to say maybe getting that Quaddle flashed in on the kite there. If there was only 5 mana available, you could have kind of prevented this play. But with Jake having another land here, wouldn't have really done anything anyways.
So there's the Hope Ender Quaddle, which can be devastating if it does actually get to counter something, as Corey did mention. And now Nicole is through the Brain Surge. You see a land and a spell in hand. For those of you wondering at home, we are making sure our life totals are correct here. I think we are up to speed now, but if there was anything
15,
incorrect
11, right?
previously, I think we've
That's what I have.
worked that one out.
Yep, Nicole is no longer Brain Surge locked, as we say.
That's a new one. That's a new
I'm
one.
gonna play a copy crook targeting my shadow spinner.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. Whenever it
It's on
attacks,
attack.
I'm thinking about the wrong card. That's okay. I'm gonna make it a copy of this, and then I'm
That's
gonna go to combat, and I'm gonna attack trigger.
Yeah.
So the Copy Crook comes down, and now you're going to see an attack there from the Shadow Spinner and a little bit of conniving to be done.
2 whole island cards.
Copy Crook does say when this
Gain
creature
2, go
attacks,
to
it connives
13.
as opposed to maybe enter the battlefield or something else. But Copy Crook is a nice card because
Yes.
it's one of those clones that can
Yep.
copy anything that's going
Yep.
on.
I'll
It's
go
going to be
to
their
12,
creature
you'll go to
or
15.
yours.
Yeah, absolutely. Really, really important if you're playing against maybe one of the big Eldrazi style decks. Being able to get one of their gigantic creatures is very important.
Yep.
And this attack from Nicole was just kind of a chump attack, putting this creature into the yard, but only having a land in hand, being able to turn that into a spell here, she valued a little bit more.
Because you want to block Conduit Goblin.
Yeah, clearly. I'm gonna kill your common goblin.
Well,
What?
I'm gonna lethal.
this is tough to see. That Conduit Goblin.
Yeah. I'll go to 11.
It's gone.
15, 11,
It's just gone.
what I
Jake is torn up.
Empty.
Nicole doesn't seem to care.
No love lost here in this
Not at all.
feature match.
Not at all. We're going to head Jake's way. Let's see what Jake's able to pick up. I mean,
Bad draw.
reaching for the mana right away. That's a good sign.
It's good in context.
Yeah, and now, you know, if the battlefield remains this kind of
Gonna pseudo the
stable
Gatekeeper and pass.
level, which it is right now, this is very much favoring Nicole, as you can just activate that really powerful 3-drop over and over and over again, and really eventually take it down with the Kami of Jealous Thirst.
Yeah, look, I know we're very early on to this format, and there's a lot going on in this format, so
Yeah.
this is not a definitive statement at all. But Kami of Jealous Thirst, you know, maybe over time it ends up aging as one of Black's better commons, because if a game ends up looking like this, as you mentioned, it can just be, I don't know, drain you,
Yeah.
and then that's it.
That's a
Right.
card I personally very much undervalued. You know, I thought, okay, well, Black is already not great, you know, as I was preparing for this event, but this is also a card where I was like, this cannot be a high pick, kind of a filler, but wow, it has just impressed me as it beat me over and over and over again in testing.
And at the very least, it's going to trade with something in combat because of the Death Touch. So, seems like it's a pretty good.
that's fine.
Seems like a pretty good one here. So we're going to have an attack here with the Copy Crook, and this is going to be the conniving aspect of that card. So there's your discard. Utter insignificance is the discard. So the connive counter will go on, and now here's a 1 and a 2 and a 3 because of what the Copy Crook is copying.
Yep. And you gotta be feeling not great here if you're Jake, as Nicole discarded a good removal spell. A fine card in this spot, because the last card that was left over was Glasswing Grace, an incredible card in this situation. If Nicole ever gets put on her back foot, you know, being able to play that attack, kind of make any creature a little Baneslayer at home type thing, is just gonna be backbreaking.
Now this decision is a little bit more difficult because remember, the Copy Crook did copy a horrid Shadow Spinner, and so what you're seeing here is the draw and the discard from the Shadow Spinner.
Yeah, I'll
Kill the little one.
Yep.
Yep.
So you still got to discard all but one card, and yeah, we see the
Yep,
Glasswing
9,
Grace
you're
go
at
to the
20.
yard, so he even has a better card here. I didn't get a good glimpse at it.
Yeah, I didn't just yet
Ooh, looks
either.
like the Emperor of Bones.
Apprentice trigger.
Yeah, that's fine.
8.
With another keyword we haven't seen in our feature match so far, adapt.
You can give it
Got to
time.
get them all in there.
Gotta give it time. Will the Emperor of Bones come down this turn? It looks like it will not. So we're just going to head back Beardsley's way. You see the life totals here, 8 to 20 in favor of Nicole.
Skoa Ember Mage.
Skull Ember Mage is the announcement. It's going to deal 4 to something.
I'll go to 6. You'll go to 22.
And it's going to be that Kami of Jealous Thirst, which of course will be activated in response. That's part of the reason Nicole left the mana up as opposed to playing the Emperor of Bones. Make sure to get the activation in. So now Corey life totals 5 to 22.
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to say, I absolutely love that Skoa card here. If you can draft a couple of them, of course, it's a lot of 6-drops. You don't want to be putting too many of them in your deck. But if you can play that, get a trigger, and then discard one, you really just feel so far ahead.
Ah, discard one, huh? To the Grandeur ability.
Yeah, exactly.
Corey, I'm going to test your knowledge. Grandeur, when did it debut?
Oh, no clue. Absolutely no idea.
Tough to watch. Tough to watch.
I know.
Future sight, my friend.
Oh, okay. A fine set.
You never Grandeur to Corlash?
You know, I'm sure I have, but couldn't remember the year.
I'm gonna make a copy of Skoa and hit you for
Okay.
Okay. Now, one thing that Skoa does do,
finality counter on it.
as it has been copied by
Which does
Copy
trigger
Crook,
this at the end step.
Yep.
Oh, no, put it in the graveyard.
is that the Skoa damage can just go upstairs, which is exactly what Nicole just did.
It sure can, and I think Nicole is
take it
also
or
going to be winning the game here.
I will attack.
It's certainly a favorable spot, so here's an attack.
I'll attack with this.
Here's an attack. So this, yep, that was going to do it. So we are all tied up. Team members getting ready for the third and final one. Nicole Tipple able to win that game there over Jake Beardsley. Big thing there for Nicole was able to just get deeper and deeper and deeper into the deck. When the game was, I mean, it got kind of even, and then it quickly became rather uneven.
Yep, agreed. And I think, you know, if Nicole has a really, really strong draw and Jake has a strong draw, I'm going to favor Nicole here. Nicole's deck is awesome.
Yeah.
There is a lot of power here. You know, we haven't even seen all the power in her deck. Just a really, really sweet deck, as well as extremely powerful. But, I mean, that's one of the best starts you can have here.
Well, it is a kite, it is a goblin, and there might be a 3-drop as well. But in the meantime, it's Tune the Narrative. 2 energy and a card coming here for Nicole Tipple. Worth noting here that Jake Beardsley on a mulligan to 6, while Tipple did keep 7.
Yeah, not really showing so far with kind of the dream start in these Boros decks. You know, being able to have the extremely powerful equipment, being able to send your creatures to the sky late game, and also just pressure some early damage is exactly what these Boros energy decks want to be doing.
Put a counter on it. I've always made a
Well,
servo.
Marionette Apprentice, as you may have heard Nicole mention, that Nicole with the Fabricate said never puts a counter on it to make it a 2-3, always just ends up making a servo. But this time it will be a 2-3.
History is made.
Yes, it is.
Proud Pack Rhino.
Okay, well,
I'm going
Jake
to
said,
give a
let's go.
shield.
1, 2, 3 curve. You know a few things about that, huh? That's kind of your style of magic.
This is the dream. This is a Boros beatdown is what we got right now. Proud Pack Rhino is going to put a shield counter on itself. The Conduit Goblin, a little bit of energy, gives it haste and +1/+0, and it is a beatdown thus far here for Beardsley on that mulligan to 6. See if Nicole can start to try to stabilize things at least a little bit. It's not out of hand just yet, but it could be that way depending on what Jake does next turn.
Yeah, it is definitely one of these games where Nicole does not have the luxury of, you know, taking a turn off to Brain Surge or something like that. You got to get these creatures dead, or you got to be getting to the battlefield here. And Horrid Shadow Spinner, a great card to play, being able to have a life-linking blocker, and most importantly, 2 2/3s block very well against a lot of aggressive decks.
Well, Corey, you did mention at the beginning of this match that Jake doesn't have a ton of green sources. Now, his green splash is pretty good.
Yeah.
The problem is there's not a ton of green mana actually in the deck. A couple of the landscapes, a wooded foothills, and a forest. But the green payoffs?
How many cards do you got?
Well, we know those are good.
Yeah, definitely not bad at all. You know, we have the Hunger Tide Rises and Rithling Chrysalis, as well as a couple faithful Watchdogs here for the splash. So being able to find that forest, definitely a welcome sight.
Beardsley going to take a moment here to figure out how to maybe navigate through this turn.
Well, it's probably not the Chrysalis, I'll tell you that. I think that one would be on the battlefield.
Yeah, I think you're probably right about that one. This is going to be the old Hex Gold Slith that's going to join the battlefield. A 2-mana 2/1 enters the battlefield, give you a little bit of energy, and then when it attacks, you can pay 2 energy. And if you do, it's going to gain first strike. We'll get to that aspect of things in just a moment. The combat trigger here with the Goblin, we're going to haste the Slith. So that's what Jake's exactly going to do, and he's going to come in with the Slith and the living weapon kite.
It's a 3-1, but it doesn't.
The Rhino
Correct.
is hanging back on D.
Yeah, hanging back. You know, a 3-3 that has a shield counter hanging back is really interesting here. That's just Jake really valuing brick walling this shadow spinner. You know, there can't be a removal spell to push it through now, but something like a bounce spell from
You'll
Nicole
go,
would be kind of
13.
devastating here for Jake.
Go.
Slith is going to be trading with the Marionette Apprentice.
I did see a removal spell here from Nicole, but yeah, you know, the shield counter is going to kind of stop that, but breathe your last. Being able to take down something here.
Yeah, breathe your last. You know, we've been seeing over the past, I'd say, calendar year or so, some formats where murder is quite good, others
Yeah.
where it's not ideal. I think this is one where it is quite good.
Yeah.
Now, breathe your last isn't being cast right now, but you have to imagine if Nicole does win this game, it'll be cast at some point. In the meantime, it's time for a little bit more conniving, everybody, with a Scurlius Sentry.
Yeah, a nice little solid card as well, and I did see Nicole pick up Arna, the really powerful Esper Sky Captain here. So if we're able to be able to cast that one, could be game-breaking.
Yeah, that Esper Sky Captain is quite good. This is one of the cards that makes Nicole's deck quite good.
Yeah.
Indeed. Of these three color decks, as you mentioned, I think Nicole's is the better of the two.
Yep.
Assuming it gets to kind of just do its thing, which we got to see it do in game number 2, and it is starting to do here in game number 3. Jake got off to a nice fast start, but wasn't able to really capitalize, I say, in a meaningful way on that 4th turn.
Yeah, and I think Nicole's deck is a 3-color deck by choice, and
Yeah.
Jake Beardsley is a 3-color deck by necessity.
Yeah.
You know, it really seems like, you know, you don't want to be splashing for these 2-mana Watch Wolf, you know, these 2-drops are not really the splash that you want, but Nicole's splashes are really high-end cards, which, you know, kind of seem a little easier to cast as you get into the late game.
Sorry, how much time do we have left?
We're going to let Jake and Nicole take it away here for a moment, perhaps.
I thought he said we had 4 minutes, so I started panicking.
No, I think we've both played pretty quickly.
Yeah, that's what it felt like.
Discharge the Shadow Spinner.
Yep.
Go up 3, down 3.
Yep.
Move Kite to the Goblin.
Okay,
Combat Goblin trigger, I'll pump the Rhino.
sure.
7.
Not a bad turn for Jake.
Yeah, not bad at all. Not bad at all. Clearing the way, getting in some great attackers here with no good blocks. That's the dream.
So Tipple's down to 6. Jake doesn't have a ton of energy left, but I will say, Corey, you kind of mentioned it.
Yep.
The kite has been pretty nice. And you said
Yes.
right at the beginning that, you know, that's the kind of card that can maybe run away with a game, and it is starting to do so.
Yeah, and it looks like Nicole is going to be pretty priced into playing this Glasswing Grace on her creature here, and it'll be interesting to see if she wants to try to attack, you know, to try to be able to for sure get that lifelink in, or just try to play defense, or go for the removal spell.
You're 8.
So there is the removal spell.
Thinking right.
So there's Breathe Your Last.
Attack connive trigger.
Here comes your Connive trigger if you're Nicole. See what the discard's going to be.
Yeah, gotta love a super powered murder here. Murder, pretty good already. Let's make it
I'll
better.
take 4, go to 16.
Go ahead.
Just depends on the format you're playing in. So Jake's going to draw here. And this is the big one here for will Jake run out of gas or not? And it's just going to be an attack there for 4.
Go.
So if you're Nicole, you don't love the idea, of course, of going down to 4.
Yeah.
That's not your favorite thing in the world, but it's not a follow-up play like a Writhing Chrysalis or anything that Jake has.
Yeah, absolutely. And now the 2 cards left in hand from Nicole, or more than 2, are really, really powerful ones. So Glasswing Grace now has the ability to
All right.
equip to the creature and attack when you
what
kind
you
of
got.
negate the amount of damage that you're going to be taking. This is huge and really,
Pretty
really
good.
powerful
That's a
play
pretty
for
good what you
Nicole.
got.
Let's go. Out of combat,
Yep.
attack connive trigger. Equal throw down.
So that's...
3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Yep, I'll go to 9, you'll go to 11.
And that's a huge shift in this game now, Corey.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And with 1 card in hand, 2 cards in hand there for Jake.
Well,
Got to
we're gonna
see
play
something
Witch Enchanter
big.
And blow up the Glasswing Grace.
Oh, that's
That
big
is
too.
big.
Okay.
Play a
Witch
kite.
Enchanter, Disenchanter, that's for sure. Glasswing Grace heads to the graveyard. A good attack there from Beardsley. A follow-up kite as well, so another flyer on the battlefield. That was a heck of a turn. That's 2 cards in 1 turn. Deal with the major problem and still being able to attack for a decent amount of damage. So I thought Nicole was turning this game around, and perhaps she did too.
Yep.
And now things may be back in favor of Beardsley.
Yeah, that was definitely absolutely needed to not just lose
Arna?
straight away from
Arna's in.
Nicole, but
It's really good that you killed this. It would have made a non-token
Oh, yeah,
copy.
sure,
It would
sure.
have been so good.
Yeah.
that is so true.
Yeah, you ain't kidding.
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
It doubles the counters on it.
It sure does.
Jesus.
Yeah.
All right.
That's what we were all thinking. That's for sure.
You have no options, so I will do that.
There's your discard.
8 counters. Do you want me to switch to this die?
That's a lot of counters. Boy, oh boy, oh boy.
And she was saying you have no option, which is definitely implying you have to
You have to
double block.
because of the menace.
Yep, double chump, no good. Big draw step for Jake. Let's see if you can fly
nothing
over for the
flies.
win.
Flies, yeah, and his lifelink.
Okay. Well, Arna flies and lies lifelink,
yeah,
so yeah,
why not?
That's not happening.
Got a lot of text on this card.
Yeah, sure does.
thinking the same
yeah,
thing.
sure does. Sure does. Oh, I like this.
I will block.
Good block. Good block. Shield counter down.
Damage is a shield counter is removed.
I learned something new today.
It doesn't matter. Good games.
Good game.
That is going to do it. Nicole Tipple with that beautiful Esper deck is going to take down friend, teammate, and Pro Tour, the Lord of the Rings champion, Jake Beardsley, to move on to 2-0.
Yeah, gotta love it. Really impressive draft decks from both of them, but gonna be really exciting to see Nicole to try to lock up a 3-0 here at her 2nd Pro Tour. How exciting.
Very, very fun to watch. Corey and I are stepping out. Riley and Monty will be stepping in. But first, the news deck with Marie and friends right after this.